Hello, my name is Marta Rydel. I'm QA engineer in gravity9, and today I'd like to speak a bit about accessibility. At the beginning, I'd like to show you some examples of disabilities, and then talk about the definition of digital accessibility. We will talk a bit the legal aspects of it, and then we'll dive into accessibility standards, WCAG in particular. I will tell about accessibility testing, and at the end, I'd like to show you a short demo of one of the tools, automated tools for testing accessibility called AxDevTools. At the end, we'll have some Q&A sessions, but you can ask questions all the time. If you have any, don't hesitate to ask them during the presentation. Let's start then. People with disabilities are around us. You see people on wheelchairs with sunglasses, white sticks. What you may don't know is that majority of disabilities are not visible with bare eyes. Over 30 million blind and partially sighted people are in Europe. That means 1 in 30 Europeans have some vision issues. Sight loss comes with an age, and that also is another statistic. 1 in 3 senior citizens over 65 faces sight loss, and 90% of visually impaired people are over the age of 65. 1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women are colorblind. That means in total, 350 million people in the world are colorblind. 98% of those with color blindness have red-green color blindness. It's the type that is the most common in the world. Dyslexia is not a disease. It's not something that we can cure. It causes difficulties with learning. Of course, there are some ways that can make teaching people with dyslexia more efficient, but also it's very common. Like 1 out of 10 people in the world are dyslexic. What I would like to present to you today is something that changed my perspective on accessibility, and I actually revised the whole testing approach I do in my daily work. I used a Chrome extension tool. It's called Funkify to generate a view that people with disabilities see. And the first disability is blurred vision. People who have blurred vision see the view that is on the right. On the left, we have a view of the normal view of the application. Look at the right, at the buttons. Their labels are very hard to read. Some labels have a very low contrast. It's very hard to read them as well. Next one is color vision deficiency. And yeah, this is the most common one I mentioned before. It's red-green type. That means basically that red color is replaced with green one. So yeah, their colors are a bit different on the right. This page I present is a page created by the Q. They're creators of AxDevTools. And this is the page that has some intentional accessibility issues in it. And also, when I was creating this presentation, I did some research. I wanted to show a page that has a lot of red color. So I thought about CNN. And I went to their website. And I was surprised because the only red color on their page is their logo. So that means world is changing. Hopefully, they're going to be more accessible to people. Last one is dyslexia. Please look at the image on the right, how letters scramble all the time. And this is how people with dyslexia perceive the world. It's very hard for them to focus on reading the text. Accessibility, in general, is a practice of removing barriers for people with disabilities. Like constructors build buildings that have wheelchair ramps, low-located switches, and also in digital world, we have digital accessibility, which means that websites, tools, and technologies are designed and developed so people with disabilities can use them. Why do we care? Why we do that? There's something like European Accessibility Act. This is a law that was established in 2019. And this is the first law affecting not only public services, but also private ones. And when it's fully implemented, it will make life easier for almost 20% of Europeans. So it's a very large group of people. And also will benefit companies, because they will be able to hire more people with disabilities. They will use buying potential from people with disabilities. They will gain their loyalty. And also studies prove that people tend to stick to products that are easy to use. And when product is accessible, it's easy to use for everyone. This is a list of the products and services that are listed in this European Accessibility Act. Notice that products like computers and operating systems, smartphones, ATMs, payment terminals, ticketing, check-in machines are listed in here. Also services like all banking services, e-commerce, which is huge, websites, and even calls to European emergency number have to be accessible. On 28th of June, 2025, companies must ensure that their products and services apply to accessibility standards. So that means also that after that date, customers will be able to file complaints if they find a product or service that is not accessible. So it's really going official. Yes?
I've listened to a podcast again about the accessibility, and there's like 3 levels of it.
Yes, we'll go to that.
Till 2025, they have to comply to the first level of it.
To only A, okay. Yeah, now we can dive to accessibility standards. And I listed 2 of them. First one is Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. The latest version is 2.2. And also there's another one. It's called Section 508 Guidelines. Section 508 is a law in America, in United States. And they added some guidelines a few years ago. And federal agencies and those receiving federal funding had to follow these guidelines to still get the funding. But Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, is a set of globally recognized guidelines. So it's more common and more often used. WCAG was written by W3C. It's a consortium of experts from many disciplines and well-known companies like Apple, Adobe, Google. And they tried their guidelines to be not depending on any programming language. And they divided it into 4 principles. First one is called perceivable. And it's about that information in the application must be presented to users in a way they can perceive. So, for example, controls, labels, controls inputs has to have names that describes their purpose. The next one is operable, and that it says that user interface must be operable. So, for example, keyboard navigation, there should be no keyboard traps in the application. Next principle is called understandable, and it's about logic in the application. So user have to be presented with the information that is logical. And for example, when there's an error indication on the field, it has to be indicated on the input, for example, on the field that caused the input. And also there should be a message that explains why this error occurred. And the last one is robust. And that means that application content must be robust enough so it can work with assistive technology. for example, with screen readers. Every principle is divided into success criterions, and every criterion is labeled with conformance level they apply to. So we have levels from A to AAA, where the A is the least strict and the AAA is the most strict. I counted success criterions in every section, so you can see how many of them are there. And just for your information, to have the overview of the whole standard, there are 31 criterions to comply to level A. But if you want to comply to level AA, you have to fulfill 55 criterions. And for level AAA, there are 86 of them. It's a lot. And of course, it has to be tested. So how to test it? How to do that? Of course, it's not only our responsibility to test it. Accessibility is responsibility of the whole team. It starts with the designs. Designers have to take care about colors, their contrasts. Then developers have to implement it, and also they have tools that already support accessibility. There are libraries that help to support that. And during testing, we can use some assistive technology, like screen readers. They are listed here. Keyboard navigation is like the basic thing that should be checked. And also we have some automated tools. We can use their reports, but it won't replace manual testing. It's only like supplement to the testing. And what Kuba mentioned, don't be afraid to suggest fixes for things that are hard to use. We are the first users of the application, and our recommendation should matter. And also, I think everyone should fight for higher priorities for bugs related to accessibility. You can always talk to product owner or business owner that, hey, this accessibility, it's important, let's fix this bug maybe this week or next month, not 2 years from now. Okay, let's go to the tool, the demo I like to do today, Axe DevTools. Axe DevTools can be accessed from DevTools. Hopefully I can find it here. Yes. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, this is an automated tool. I think it's very fun. It's very nice to use because it really automates testing. We can start with scanning of the whole page, and this page is the page you have seen before, like in my presentation, with this intentional accessibility issues. So I started the screen, and we see that there are 12 issues that were found. Some elements don't meet minimum contrast ratio, and some images must have alternate text. So we can highlight the issues that have the components that have issues. It's very easy to inspect them. What I like about this, we can share this issue. So we can copy a link to a report that is already on the page. We can use that and paste that into a bug, so developers know what is the element location. They have a screenshot of this element, and also some information about the issue itself. Okay. If we go to settings, we can see what standard we're testing against, and we can choose between WCAG from version 2.0, 3 levels, up to 2.2. Also 3 levels. The default for now is 2.1 and AA. And what's quite new in this application is something called guided tests. Intelligent guided tests. So the queue in this application introduce some AI prompts in testing for a few elements, not all of them. We can start with keyboard navigation. And this one is AI-driven. They call it human-centric machine learning. And you need to answer a few questions. You're guided through the whole testing process, and then you get the report at the end. So we are testing keyboard navigation. You can see that we can choose if we want to start from the top of the page. I do. So I press next, and you can see like where application is tabbing through the page. Okay. They do the screenshots. And then they suggest that there might be 3 additional elements that appear to be interactive. We can highlight them to see if they really should be interactive. They're labels, so we can remove them from here. And then next step is we need to indicate if we feel that this element is interactive, and also we have some AI suggestions about it. So all of these are buttons, and they are interactive. So we move next, and at the end we have list of issues. It's some. The application indicates that element's role is missing. So it's very helpful. We can complete this. You can see there are many areas in this guided test. So also progress bar. So when you complete all of them, you'll go to 100%. One more very interesting feature here. I can show you modal dialog. It's also guided, not by AI, but yeah, it's still there. You get suggestions in here. So first question is if we have a launcher for the modal. We do, because we have some buttons in the application, and I want to launch modal from this button. It clicked in the button. Now it's checking the modal. They ask if the modal can be dismissed or closed. Yes, it can. You probably noticed that the modal was closed. And they detected that focus moved to highlighted element. And is this the element that we expect to be focused when the modal is closed? In general, focus should return to the place that was action was caused. So it should be returned to the button we pressed before. So no, this is not logical element. Okay, and then there is an issue reported in the application, and then so we can see there is an issue here. We go back to the screen I showed you before. We can still highlight the element. We can share this issue, have some more information about it. So unfortunately, this tool is not free. You can use trial version to play with it, and it costs around $40 a month. So not that cheap. And I think that concludes my presentation. Also, there's one slide that with the resources I want to show. Just give me a minute. Are there any questions?
Do you usually include those tests in your normal set of testing, or it's always happens by customer demand?
It depends. Maybe I will repeat the question. Do I use this tool? Or accessibility? Okay. Do we test accessibility as per client demand or in usual daily testing? It depends. I prefer when I start the project, my first question is what are non-functional requirements? And probably you'll never hear that it's accessibility at any level. So then my next question is, what is the accessibility request, requirement on this project? And they start, okay, so let's go with this minimum or normal setup. Probably some of the companies aim for AA, which is between, and I think it's a great balance between cost to implement the accessibility and having this accessibility, having this application to be accessible. So yes and no. I pay attention to it, but of course it's quite new. I didn't meet a lot of testers that knew accessibility at all. That's why I do this presentation, because I want to spread it in testing also. So it's like testing accessibility. I think it's huge. Also, you saw that it's not that simple, and it may take time. I really hope that at some point we will, everyone will be aware of accessibility and will spend more money and time on it.
I think I know the point. 2025.
Yeah.
Because there will be restrictions.
Yes, they will be.
And in my opinion, it will be something like security testing. There will be companies will be outsourcing the
audits, accessibility audits.
Because from this podcast that I was listening to, there are dedicated companies that are hiring people with disabilities.
Yes.
Yes. So basically, it's cheaper to order some testing to.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is. And you will have a lot of tests A, 2, A.
Yeah, audits. If your application apply to, or you have to fix these things to be compliant to some level of accessibility, probably yes. But also if we are trained, we know what to do, and we also it's always easier to design an application in accessible way. It's always, if you have to go back and redesign everything and then re-implement it and then retest it again, it costs much more, probably 10 times. So yeah, that's why I think everyone should start with that. And for now, it's not something that everyone thinks of at the beginning of the project.
I think it also depends from your client, because I work for a client from Germany, and if this project or website comes from money from public sources, it's mandatory to test it.
Yes, and it's even mandatory now, because if you go to PUE in our public government page, it has the buttons to switch to accessible version of the page.
So it's also restricted by law. Yeah?
Yes.
When the money comes from the public source, it should be accessible.
Yes, but yeah, on the other hand, some clients don't want to pay even for any testing. So yeah, they can always tell it costs too much, we don't want it, and it's our risk, we accept it, and it's also fine.
And we had also the situation you mentioned, the whole layout was green. And we had some successful tests at the end, and it was mentioned at the beginning that green is not a good option for this, because yes, this disabilities, but the client wanted this green and red, so the combination
Yeah.
It wasn't good at the beginning.
I think it can backfire because it's only 1 year from now that it will be a law. And also, like, do you like someone who discriminate people? I don't. I don't like to use applications that are not accessible. So if I have a choice to take the application that is accessible and it's easier to use and it's user friendly, then I go with this application. So
yeah, this disability can also be temporary.
Yes,
You can grow
yes,
your arm,
exactly.
or with age you can use some kind of zoom to scope the content.
Yep.
So now everyone uses smartphone websites. So I think it's going in this side that everything should be accessible.
Yes, and I personally think it's great because our parents, grandparents, they use smartphones, and I see they struggle a lot, and having this accessible websites it's very helpful for them. Yep.
Are there any static analysis tools that might be actually added during development, maybe to analyze the code while developing, not to test it at the very end for accessibility?
Yeah, the question was, are there any code static analysis tools that can help during development? I think they are, but I'm not an expert. I'm not a developer. I know there are libraries that they support accessibility out of the box. For example, Material UI, they force some level of accessibility. They force developers to add roles, to add area labels, and all the parameters that are needed for accessibility.
Am I right that accessibility testing more important on the design stage, on the first stage of development, or maybe earlier?
Well, it starts then. It definitely starts then because I think it's a shared responsibility. Because we don't implement anything. We only verify, check. Testers at the end of the process. Designers start with the visuals, and then also developers, if they are aware of accessibility, they can say, okay, maybe we can revisit it, maybe we can change it because it's not accessible. There are tools that check contrast ratio. So if someone uses it at the very beginning of the process, it's better. It's more efficient. It's cost efficient. Yes.
If you found or think about in early stage, it will be cheaper to fix.
Yes.
I even heard like we all can find like at least one bug, for example, on I think most of the pages or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got like a picture and you've got attribute alt, blow, he was disabled, from this podcast. He says there should be like at least 3 sentences on alt attribute.
Yes, alternative text, because it describes what the buttons do.
What is on the picture?
Yes.
Well, for example, hamburger describes hamburger like with cheeseburger.
Yeah, this is a picture of cheeseburger on the background of something. Yes. Yes, because imagine you don't see anything and you use screen reader and you get, this is an image. This is an image of a cat. This is a button.
And I
so
opened a couple of pages afterwards, and none of them have like 3 sentences.
Yeah, I found one American company that has accessibility in the footer, and they declared the page is accessible, the application is accessible, and it's American. And I said, okay, they are very bold, because in America you can be sued by everything. So if you declare you are accessible, and you don't, and someone with disabilities uses your page, and sees it's not accessible, so they feel money.
Easy money, yeah?
Yes.
That's discrimination.
Yes, exactly. Yes?
How much better, in your personal opinion, is this XDev tools than just lighthouse built in the Chrome browser to check the
have never compared them. I think it's just my preference.
The lighthouse.
Yes, but Lighthouse is also for performance, for accessibility, some other statistics, and my personal opinion is that if something is for everything, it's for nothing. So I don't know. I didn't have a chance to really work with Lighthouse. I also actually didn't use Axe in my daily work. I use it when I was doing some research some time ago. Yeah, this is just something I wanted to show you, that it is available and what are their options you can use there. But I find it powerful.
Yeah, there were many bells and whistles which actually Lighthouse do not provide.
Mm-hmm.
Like this UI, like this
AI.
So, and Lighthouse is more, let's say, more about code. When it comes to colors and contrasts, Lighthouse is not that good with it.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
it still can point
It's
out some
it's only
issues
these
about
tools
code.
are like they called them automated tools. So not like they only support us in testing, and they cannot do everything for us. You saw there are 85, 86 requirements to fulfill AAA compliance level. So yeah, like AI won't replace testers a few years from now because yeah, someone has to validate that. So we cannot know. We see the results and say, okay, this is a bug, fix that. We need to be a bit critical to it and just dig deeper.
It's worth to mention that once the site is accessible,
Mm-hmm.
it's more SEO friendly. Once it's more accessible,
Mm-hmm.
then we have more potential customers. It's worth
Yes.
to mention that once we test accessibility, we also check how the page or application behave on the different screens. If we
Yes.
have any glitches and stuff like that.
And accessibility is also about the user journey. So it's more friendly because you don't have elements covering another elements because this is not accessible. Better description of some elements, and it benefits everyone.
And even when you have a text-to-speech, the tools for text-to-speech,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same mechanism as a tool sheet, which
Yes.
index your page. So it's really you'll be higher
Yeah.
higher in the Google, once you do it in the proper.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
So it's a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So just to say, it's not only about it's not only about helping people who are colorblind, but it's also it's about the business value behind.
Yes, and also gaining loyalty of people who are disabled, and the market is very high in benefits in money because yeah, they can use this potential for selling the product to disabled people.
And I've heard about learning application. Why the people, disabled people, are much more loyal because learning of application is really hard for them. So at the point where they, already learn it, yeah, they stick to it because it's extra effort to learn extra.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, they are loyal.
Yes.
Actually, I am afraid I found a bug in your presentation.
Okay.
Logical mistakes on about the first or second page. You said that 90% of people with visual issues are over than 65 years old. So maybe you mean 90% of people over 65 years have this visual issues.
Let us check.
Yeah, I'm checking out. 90% of people who are over 90% of people with sight issues are over 65.
But it could be true because there are not so many people over this age.
No, it was that 90% of the people
With
disabilities
yes.
are
So
over.
from all the people with vision impairment, majority, 90% of them are over 65.
It's not about the majority of people that, or 90% of all.
So below 65 is only 10% of all people with
We can close this thing to this age.
yeah. So let's say we'll verify that.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Maybe.
Thank you so much for your questions. A very interesting discussion.